The 3 liter or the 6 liter Peak Design Sling, which do you go with? As you can tell, I have both here, and that I obviously struggled with this question, so I thought I'd put out a video to try and help anyone else that's also struggling with it. In this video, I'm going to cover the good and the bad. I can't talk today. I'm going to cover the good and the bad of both bags, and kind of just go over the basics of what really works and what doesn't. And then also, I'll pack them out with my Fuji system. It's an APS-C system. I do a lot of street photography, so I'm going to show you how I utilize each bag, so that way you, I'm hoping, can get a better sense as to how it may work for your system. Now to start, let me dive into some of the things that I really like about this bag and the reasons that I purchased it over some of the other bags that are on the market, which there is a ton. One of the biggest factors is, and it kind of goes for you and against you, is the rigidity of it. It really holds its shape with the materials and the way they've stitched it. And what I like about that is that it really holds your gear in place. Your gear is not shifting around. The bag is not loose to where everything has an opportunity to move. And also, too, when you're wearing it, it's more form-fitting, I feel, as far as it just kind of, staying within its shape, tighter to your body, and again, not having things loose to where you're going through a doorway and you hit your lens on something. So I really like the form factor for that. But talking about the other side of it, you're not going to have as much wiggle room to move your gear in there. It's basically more rigid in keeping it in place. So it's not one of those bags that is got a bunch of kind of looser space to work with. The other thing that I really appreciate about this bag is the materials they've used and them being water resistant. And that's always huge for especially street photography, being out in the elements and trying to keep your gear safe. Also, on the good side, they've got that origami system that they use. This especially, I think, comes more into play with the 6-liter option, to where you've got that origami piece that fits in there, and you can kind of stack, a smaller lens on top of another lens, or some other item on top of another item. But anyways, their origami is pretty cool. Also, just overall, the bag feels nice and is made of nice materials. I feel like it just has a nice look to it. In talking about its look, I feel like it has a nice quality look, but doesn't stand out too much at the same time. Is not too flashy for when you're out doing street photography, which is always a big concern on the brain, that you're not going to get mugged or robbed. And so I also feel it's got a nice, just kind of, look to where it's not saying, please steal me. At least I'm hoping that. But let's move on to some of the other items that are, well, in one in particular, it's good and bad. It would be the strap. The strap is a great design in the fact that it has this clasp that you can easily detach and slide to bring the sling around your body, and then vice versa, and then reclasp in place. Sadly, this has a downside to it in that I've noticed that it easily slips. It doesn't hold in place as well as it should. And this is an area where I think Peak Design needs to do some improvement on this particular clasp to make it so that when it is in its hold position, it really holds. But otherwise, it's a really cool feature for being able to quickly extend the sling portion of it, and make it so easier to bring around your body. Another area that's kind of hit or miss for me on this bag is the pockets. The pockets are a tough one, and this kind of comes down to the shape and rigidity of it that I spoke about earlier. The front pocket in particular, now with the 6-liter, it works much better as far as being something that you can utilize for putting items in that you are a little bit bigger, that you're going to need, like filters in my case. The 3-liter, I will tell you, it doesn't hold much in that up front pocket. It's very tight and kind of really awkward to get things in and out of. So if they were able to maybe make some design improvements there, that would be great. The other pockets that can be a little bit frustrating is there's a pocket on the top portion here that has little slots for holding like your batteries, and you can put some SD cards in there, and The thing is about this particular pocket is that it's great to have. It's great to utilize. It just could use a little bit more form to it. I was out doing a shoot and I was kind of near some water and I made the mistake of not having this portion zipped up. And when I opened my bag, a battery flew out. Luckily, it did not land in the water. I did not have to learn my lesson the hard way. But there going forward, I just make sure to keep that zipper closed all the time. And the other thing I found that's a little bit hard about this particular pocket is that the slots that they've made for your batteries, the ones that are to either end are really difficult to actually utilize. And I mean, APS-C batteries aren't that big. So you would think it would be a little bit easier to use. But yeah, I just think that pocket overall could use a little bit improvement. Also, too, they have pockets on either side of the bag, and this is another one where I wish they had included a magnetic clip to where the pockets don't catch on things. Quite often you're having to kind of push the pocket up against the side of the bag so that you make sure and not catch it on your lens or whatever else. So I just wish that they had added just a little something there to make it so that you could make it flush against the bag if you're not using, or even if you do have something in it, that the top portion can be, closed. And so again, it's nice to have those pockets, but I feel like they could be improved on. Me from the future, and I forgot to talk about the comfort of the bag. And it's kind of another one of those things that is a little hit or miss for me, as far as when you have the sling in back of you like this, the padding is right here on your shoulder. It works great, feels great. But quite often I have the bag around the front side, and at that point you do get the non-cushioned part of the strap hitting your neck area. And so I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to buy like a third-party cushion just to put around this area. It would have been nice if it extended maybe a little bit more with the cushioning, because their cushion is good. Or if you could maybe, if you carry it more like this, if you could swap it around to have it to where the cushion's on the other side. But that's not something that it allows for. So yeah, it's comfortable when you've got the cushion hitting the right parts, but otherwise not. Well, I think that kind of covers the good and the bad of the bags. And so let me go ahead and start showing you guys what you can pack these out with. All right, so we're starting with the 3-liter bag, and I'm going to start with that top pocket, just showing you kind of what I put in there. Again, with the 3-liter version, this is a lot tighter, and so I am able to put some cleaning stuff in there as far as like sensor cleaner. And then here you can see I'm adding a filter bag. I've got 2 filter bags that I use, so I'm kind of putting the smaller one in this space since, again, it's such a tight pocket. And then I'm putting the DJI Osmo Pocket version 1 in there as well. And then, of course, an Apple AirTag. I'd probably actually maybe hide this somewhere else in the bag, or, shove it down a little bit more. But now to show you what I put in the main compartment, I've got, as you can see here, kind of a battery in that small inner bag. And then this is my X-T5 with the 16 to 55 lens. Because I've packed out the top portion with quite a bit of gear, the battery had to be moved to kind of really allow me to get the whole thing in there. And I'm really trying to show you how I utilize this bag for street photography. So as you may have noticed, I've got the lens hood actually on when I put my camera in the bag. And at this point, I'm just kind of trying to find a place for the battery now, since it was such a tight fit. But yeah, that works. But ultimately, that takes up all of the space to have that X-T5 with the 16 to 55, which is quite a big lens. And then, like I said, I have one more filter case that I use. This is the kind of the thicker one, and I just use a hook to attach it to the outside of the bag, since there's really no more space I can use otherwise. And this has worked fine. I mean, it definitely is a good solution for making this bag, work for you. Now, here is another packing out option utilizing the 18 to 55 kit lens for Fuji. And then also I've got the 35 millimeter 1.4 prime lens, and that works pretty well. That fits, really well using that origami divider that they have. Now, this is me also trying to squeeze in a 55 to 200. As you can see, it is not working. So you're, gonna want to stick with something that is a smaller prime that can utilize that tighter space when using the 3-liter Sling, which is just, a lot tighter and a lot more limited on space. Lastly, here's one more option that I thought might be something that, you might want to see. This is my XT3 with no lens on it, just the lens cap, and then again, the origami divider. And here I've got the newer 23 1.4 lens. It's kind of a bigger prime lens. And so, I put that here at the bottom. Use the origami feature, and then as well going to put in the 35 1.4. This is the first version of that lens, and that works really well. That all fits and is workable. All right, now we are switching to the 6-liter bag, and you saw this previously earlier in the video, but I just thought I would show it again as far as what I pack out in the top portion of this bag, and it's a lot more versatile than the 3-liter. I put some of the straps that come with the bag that allow you to attach things at the bottom in there, and then also here I'm putting in my 2 small bags that carry step down and step up rings for filters, and then also my actual filters, and those both go in there snug, but they do fit, which is huge. You're not, having to attach one to the outside of the bag. And then here again, the Osmo Pocket, and that all fits and works. One extra perk that you do get with the 6-liter bag is this compartment towards the back here that has a magnetic clasp. It's for putting in like a smaller size tablet. I utilize it for some cleaning stuff and then also my Apple AirTag. Kind of a nice little extra pocket. Now, transitioning to the main compartment, I am going to try and fit the 55 to 200 zoom lens, which as you saw in the previous section, I had struggled with on the 3-liter. In fact, it just didn't fit. And then I've got the XT5 here attached to the 16 to 55 zoom with the hood lens attached, which is how I prefer to go about it for street photography. So it's just ready to go. I've got the lens cap off and I'm not worried about it getting scratched in there, the lens getting scratched. But as you can see, this fits fine. You've got that extra versatility already with the bigger bag. One more configuration I thought it might be nice to show is the 16 to 55 zoom with 2 primes. And I've got both the 23 1.4 and then as well the 35 1.4 that you saw earlier. And yeah, I've got that 16 to 55, fitting no problem with the lens hood on, and then utilizing the origami divider again, able to put in the 35 along with that 23. And this bag handles it with no problem. So the 3-liter or the 6-liter, which are you going to choose? Or are you choosing something else? Please let me know down below. And also, if you've got any good advice for anyone else, please put that in there. It'd be great to help out anyone else trying to figure out which one to go with and spend, their hard-earned money on. By the way, on the channel coming up, I'm going to be working on my New York series. I was fortunate enough to go to New York, and I'm going to try and put out some street photography video there. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, please give a subscribe. And if this video helped you out, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. I'd be grateful. Also, too, I'm on Insta, and so please find me over there. Or if you ever want prints, I'm on Etsy currently, trying to figure out whether I'm sticking with Etsy or doing my own thing. But yeah, that's the video. I hope it helps you, and I will see you in the next one. All right, bye.
Let